On the Wake Up Radio presents The Hour.
You must remember, the enemy has only images and illusions, behind which he hides his true motives. Destroy the image, and he will break the enemy. The it that you refer to is a powerful weapon.
What is life?
It's a story we tell ourselves. And every story needs a beginning. Your imagined suffering makes you lifelike.
Lifelike, but not alive. Pain only exists in the mind. It's always imagined. So what's the difference between my pain and yours? Between you and me?
To find a solution to a problem whose answer you already know.
The Hour.
Welcome. Welcome to The Hour, The Hour. This is on the wakeupradio.com. Sign up for otwtube.com. Uncensored free speech platform. Just do it. I'm your host, Cindy Ashby, and today, I have a treat for you. I have the most amazing person that I'll let her speak. Tell us your name, darling.
Hello and welcome. And Cindy, thank you for having me. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to voice my opinion and my conspiracies that I have that's going on. Mainly, okay, hold on to your seatbelts because I'm going to tell you now. So, as you know, the government is set up for us to fail. You already know that, for our people.
I agree.
So in the interim of us knowing this, right? Me personally, it's just getting worse and worse and worse. So they're lying to us. Anything, everything that they told us was a lie. Then they try to front like, okay, we're going to give you reparations for slavery back in the day. First of all, we can't even have a Black Wall Street. We can't have a Black Wall Street. We can't have nothing that's our own. And you know why? When we as a people get together, and this is not a racist statement, but if we collectively as Black people get together, we overpopulate the Jews, the Spanish, even white people. So, but we're too busy fighting each other. We're too busy still having that crab barrel mentality, and it's not helping with the ratchetness that our youth, this generation X, whatever the hell you want to call it, I want to call it Generation Zero, because these niggas ain't got a bit of sense. They don't. So, and then it's like, I think to myself, well, what can we do? What can one person do? Freedom of speech. Damn, that's almost being taken from us. Because now, you got to be careful what you say. You got to be careful what you say in terms of the government. You got to be careful what you say when you talk about abortions. You got to be careful what you say when you talk about politics. Well, why are we letting a male dictate about our uterus when we cannot have not children? Like, what gives a man the right to make that rule? I need answers, because this shit is crazy. I need answers. So you know what I think? They don't want us to populate. Let me say that again. They don't want us to populate. So not only that they're trying to kill us with the COVID, that ain't work. You know how you it's a metaphor. You know how you spray roaches or whatever the case may be, but there's still some left. Some did pass away, God bless the dead. Some did pass away, but then you still got people. So the raid ain't kill everybody. Yeah. So the COVID didn't work. So what they doing now? Every food that we love or that we eat, we used to been eating for years, is contaminated. Salmonella. Then they got the mosquitoes that they done did some shit in the lab. Talking about some other shit.
Oh, the West Nile virus.
West Nile. Yeah, you remember that?
Mm-hmm.
They are going through extremes to get rid of us. I'm telling you.
Tell us something that you think most people don't know about. Like, and it's not a conspiracy theory, but you know it's real. It's just that people can't really see it.
Don't get me started with the aliens.
Okay, well, you got the two mics in front of you, so you look like you're spitting bars. Don't you look like she's spitting bars?
They always been here. Period. They've always been here, and it just got to the point where I think whatever agreement that the government had with them, their time is almost up.
The treaty stated the aliens would not interfere in our affairs and we would not interfere in theirs. We were particularly interested that they do not interfere with anything that would affect our future, which has been violated. We would keep their presence on Earth a secret. They would furnish us with advanced technology and would help us in our technological development. They would not make any treaty with any other Earth nation. They could abduct humans on a limited and periodic basis for the purpose of medical examination and monitoring of our development, with the stipulation that the humans would not be harmed, would be returned to their point of abduction, that the humans would have no memory of the event, and that the alien nation would furnish MJ-12 with a list of all human contacts and abductees on a regularly scheduled basis. And this is not being done. It was agreed that each nation would receive the ambassador of the other for as long as the treaty remained in force. It was further agreed that the alien nation and the United States would exchange 16 personnel each to the other with the purpose of learning each of the other. The alien guests would remain on Earth and the human guests would travel to the alien point of origin for a specified period of time, then return, at which point a reverse exchange would be made. I have no knowledge whatsoever of what happened to those original 16 humans who left the Earth with the aliens. It was also agreed that bases would be constructed underground for the use of the alien nation and that 2 bases would be constructed for the joint use of the alien nation and the United States government. The base at Dulce is one, the base at S4 in the area known as Area 51 or Dreamland is the second. Exchange of technology would take place in the jointly occupied bases. These alien bases would be constructed under Indian reservations in the 4 corners of Utah, Colorado, New Mexico, and Arizona, and one would be constructed in Nevada in the area known as S4, located approximately 7 miles south of the western border of Area 51, otherwise known as Dreamland. All alien areas are under complete control of the Naval Department, and all personnel who work in these complexes receive their checks from the Navy. Construction of the bases began immediately, but progress was slow until large amounts of money were made available in 1957, and in the meantime, work continued on the Yellow Book with the information derived from the guests.
So they little by little letting us, let me, show this UFO over here, or let me show, there's a alien over here, or this over there, to slowly introduce us to these niggas. They been knew about them. And they're learning their technology behind closed doors so they could use that to weaponize. And they could use that to control. That's all about control. And maybe they're using it to weaponize to, Russia or whomever. But at the end of the day, we're still at the bottom of the totem pole. We still slaves. still.
What do you think about this election coming up?
I think it's like a front. I think Kamala really doesn't want to run. But I think she made a deal with somebody behind the scenes. So she has no choice but to do this. And I think Agent Orange is just, first of all, okay, so if Donald Trump can run for president and he is a felon, he has a felony.
Tell us about what this conviction actually was about for the everyday citizen.
Was Trump charged with an extramarital affair, paying hush money unlawfully to cover up that affair? No, of course not. That's not criminal. New York says he falsified business records. His then lawyer, Michael Cohen, pays $130,000 to Stormy Daniels so she won't publish her allegations about having had an affair with Trump. Trump starts reimbursing Cohen for that $130,000, pays him some money on top of that for his services. Those generate bookkeeping entries, does it monthly for the year of 2017. That's how you end up with 36 different records. That's how you get 34 counts. Now, every one of those bookkeeping entries was listed as payment for legal expenses. The claim by the state, you were actually paying Stormy Daniels money to help your campaign. So those aren't legal expenses. Those are campaign expenses. So the first claim in the case is that's a false business record. And if you don't think that's false, there's no case.
So you mean to tell me anybody could come from behind bars that was a felon and go run for president? Come on. This is all an act. No way. I don't even watch it. I don't even look at the election. I don't look at, social media on who say about them, because they're all liars at the end of the day. So it's like, when you don't believe either or, what do? Me personally, I'm not voting.
I don't vote. First of all, it's meaningless. This country was bought and sold and paid for a long time ago. The shit they shuffle around every 4 years doesn't mean a fucking thing. And secondly, I don't vote because I believe if you vote, you have no right to complain. People like to twist that around. I know. They say, well, if you don't vote, you have no right to complain. But where's the logic in that? If you vote, and you elect dishonest, incompetent people, and they get into office and screw everything up, well, you are responsible for what they have done. You caused the problem. You voted them in. You have no right to complain. I, on the other hand, who did not vote, in fact, did not even leave the house on election day, am in no way responsible for what these people have done and have every right to complain. So I know that a little later on this year, you're going to have another one of those really swell presidential elections that you like so much. You'll enjoy yourselves. It'll be a lot of fun. I'm sure as soon as the election is over, your country will improve immediately.
I'm not. Because it's like either I vote for dumb or I vote for dumber. Dumb and dumber. So I ain't voting for neither one of them.
Tell me what you think about the child trafficking.
That's one of the sidebar besides this. That's one of the charities that I personally want to invest in and do work in, because at the end of the day, that's always been going on. Whether it was in the music industry or whether it was in the acting career, Hollywood, it's always been there. And so it's sad because children that go through that is traumatic, and that's a trauma that they have to live through for the rest of their life. So it stigmatizes the record labels and it stigmatized Hollywood. Like our teens now, it's like, if a little girl tells you, oh, mommy, I want to be an actress, but then you done watch this goddamn documentary talking about how the producer behind the scenes was touching girls and whatnot, you're like, no, honey, let's do something else. Or even, a son that want to go, and be a rapper. No, because he's going to be dead in 3 years.
Have you ever actually wondered what happens to children once they've been trafficked? Because it's not what you might think. For girls, normally what happens is once they've been trafficked, they were then force-fed alcohol and drugs to make them more compliant. After this, girls are normally trafficked solely for sexual abuse. They're so many twisted people who will pay to do things like this to young girls. And at this point, on average, these girls have about 7 years to live before they will die from the abuse that they suffer. That's the average life expectancy of a trafficked child. For young boys, they have a similar experience. They'll also be drugged to be made more compliant, but they are also exposed to sexual abuse, but more commonly, they're sold to cartels to do dangerous work that often has a low life expectancy. They're also used as slave labor in factories and sweatshops around the world. And the scariest thing, I mean, this whole thing is scary, but often these children are also moved across country to separate them as far as possible from their families, for any idea of escape remote. These kids have not got long to live, so we need to make a stand and make a difference.
So it's like, I feel like, I get it, it's the future. I get it, you know, I'm probably old school. Look, I have a 17-year-old, and it's not easy raising a teenager. That's a whole nother story. But it's not easy. So to constantly, you know, talk about slavery. Perfect example, my son witnessed racism for the first time. And he said, Mom, he said, the officer didn't even look at me. It was a minor bend offender. And he was in a predominantly white area. And teenagers that hit them was predominantly white as well. Little teenagers, and the officer were white. My son and his other friend was in the car. He said, Ma, the officer didn't even look at me. He was too busy talking to them. He, ha, ha. You know, he kept asking them, oh, you know, how you feel? Do you need aid? Do you need to go to the hospital? They're like, no, we're fine. And my son said, he didn't say 2 words to us, but whose car is this?
And what did you tell him?
Well, I explained to him that there's always been racism.
She handled this so well because I'm built different.
She's a rare species of animal.
Why is she a rare species?
Not a rare species. We always got a rare species in our house.
Why is she a rare species? Is it because she's the baby?
Yeah, mostly. And she has different color skin, so that's mostly why.
Well, that's true.
And she's very cute.
But we're all the same, no matter the color of your skin. Say hi. Say hi. Hi.
Racism has never went away. And that nowadays it's more upfront and in your face, because you know, some years back it was hidden a little bit, you know, but now it's like up in your face. So, you know, he's just looking like, I said, racism always been there. It's not going nowhere. I said, and to me, I said, racism is taught. You're not born a racism. You're not born that way. You're not. You're taught that. So you just gonna pop out and just be a skinhead, or you just gonna pop out and just be like, you know, I don't like, you know. You don't even know these people. You know what I'm saying? You have to know the person. We all bleed. We all breathe the same air. We all, you know, what makes that nationality different from the next nationality? So I tried to explain it to him, because my son is biracial. So I tried to explain to him, I said, it's tougher for especially a black young man to be stereotyped. You know, so I said, you know, the way that he speaks, I said, you know, when an officer, we already went through this, because you better believe I sat down and made him watch that movie, what what's that movie with the
Please don't say Central Park 5.
Yes, I did.
This morning, best-selling crime writer and former New York City prosecutor Linda Fairstein finds herself on trial in the court of public opinion. Her most famous case, the Central Park jogger trial, is now being retold on Netflix.
I didn't see any lady.
Kevin.
I didn't see any lady.
When They See Us dramatizes the story of 5 Black and Latino teenagers, known as the Central Park 5. The young men were wrongfully convicted and imprisoned for raping a white female jogger back in 1989. The story dividing a city. Decades before taking office, real estate developer Donald Trump spent $85,000 on ads in local papers, proclaiming, "Bring back the death penalty." Now, embattled actress Felicity Huffman is playing Fairstein, who oversaw the interrogation of the 5 teens and prosecution for the Manhattan District Attorney's Office. Fairstein was part of the sex crimes unit, but did not personally try the case.
Our case is they're all guilty.
You tell us exactly what happened.
The men later accused detectives of coercing confessions from them, which Fairstein has long denied. When a serial rapist admitted to the crime in 2002 and his DNA was a match, the 5 men had their convictions vacated after serving more than a decade behind bars. Lester recently sat down with the exonerated men.
But I kept telling the truth for a long time. I started lying because of my father. He told me to tell them what they want to hear. We didn't get an apology, you know. All the time we did for something we didn't do, and it hurts.
Fairstein, now a famous author, is facing backlash on social media with the trending hashtag #CancelLindaFairstein and growing calls to boycott her crime novels. In response, Fairstein has deleted her Twitter account and resigned from the board of trustees at Vassar College, her alma mater. In an interview with the Daily Beast, the director of the Netflix series, Ava DuVernay, alleges that Fairstein attempted to control how she was presented, saying she tried to negotiate conditions for her to speak with me, including approvals over the script, adding, "So you know what my answer was to that, and we didn't talk." Fairstein denies that took place and declined to speak directly with NBC News, but we received this statement from her attorney that reads in part, "Netflix and Ms. DuVernay are doing a terrible disservice to the public and should be ashamed by their irresponsibility in failing to properly research the film and effectively compromising its accuracy." The attorney goes on to quote current Manhattan DA Cyrus Vance, who issued a statement after the 5 men settled a civil case with the city of New York in 2014 for $41 million. After more than a decade in which numerous parties have investigated and litigated the case, there has been no finding of wrongdoing or unprofessional behavior by any of the prosecutors involved.
That was heavy.
I made him sit down at age 13 and watch it.
That's
yes.
a heavy ass
I had
film.
to. I have to.
I was boo-hooing.
Me too. I had to. Because that's life.
Yeah.
That's life. And you know, he hangs around, you know, he got a couple of white friends. Okay, you can have some white friends. But listen, you hanging out at this white friend's house, let me let you know something. Anything missing from the house, guess who they gonna think took it? You may be key and all this, and I have to tell him, somebody give you a red cup. If you didn't pour it, don't drink it. These are the things that I have to tell my child. White, black, or indifferent. Because this is the type of world that we live in. You know the government trying to kill us. They are.
The head of the DEA says cartels are mass producing fentanyl. And the U.S. State Department has said that most of it is coming out of Mexico. Are they wrong?
Sí.
Yes.
No.
Or rather, they don't have all the information, because fentanyl is also produced in the United States.
The State Department says most of it's coming from Mexico.
Fentanyl is produced in the United States, in Canada, and in Mexico, and the chemical precursors come from Asia. You know why we don't have the drug consumption that you have in the United States? Because we have customs, traditions, and we don't have the problem of the disintegration of the family.
But there is drug consumption in Mexico.
But very little.
So why the violence then in Mexico?
Because drug trafficking exists, but not the consumption.
You know what, that leads me into the next question, because we're talking about your son and children. What do you think these children need? Because they're totally different than we were growing up.
That's a good question, what they need. What they really need is boarding school. Because it's like, you can't put your hands on them. Wait a minute, where was CPS when I was growing up? Because I'm telling you, I don't like these teenagers. I don't like them. They so disrespectful. They're so rude. They're so, and it all stems from home. But then you can't really blame home either, because that home learned it from somewhere. So how do we end the cycle? Do we have free seminars for our young youth? They ain't coming. You know where they going to? Sexy Red.
Well, you don't think it has anything to do with the parenting?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. As a matter of fact, I heard another sister on another podcast saying that single Black women, that have, single boys in the home, that their chances of less likely to be productive as an adult, because, there's no male father figure in the home. But then you have the maybe 20% chance, like a LeBron James, or like those type of stories that was raised by single mothers and became, successful. And it's like, I kind of beg to differ with that, because, I may not be able to teach him how to be a man, but that's where it takes a village type shit to come in that we don't have no more. What happened to that?
But the apple don't fall too far from the tree, Miss Lady. You as a child is a reflection of your parents. That's why they say when you leave out of this house, nigga, you go do this, because you are a reflection of how you was raised. You are a reflection of your upbringing.
I asked her though. I said, if you could go back, is there anything you would have done different?
She said no. That's when I knew she was a horrible mother. Because even as a parent, as good as I think I am as a day one daddy, if I can go back and do something different, I will go back and do a lot of things different. Because as parents, we don't know what to do in the beginning. And as for a single mother, homie, we would all go back and do something different. That's how I know she got to be fucked up to say I wouldn't change nothing.
Yeah, but she said he always had a roof over his head, never struggling, always had food.
Jeffrey Dahmer always had a roof over his head, always had food. But his mama wasn't at home. His daddy wasn't at home. The roof over the head and the food don't raise me. The roof and the food don't teach me manners. It don't teach me morals, principles. It don't give me dignity. It don't teach me integrity. So what the she talking about? He always had a roof and food over his head. So did Charles Manson. Ted Bundy. Don't mean shit. The absence of your mother and your father. What did she teach him? Obviously, she didn't teach him no manners. What did she teach him? How did she raise him?
But see, that's the struggle of being a single parent is you have to work. You have to sacrifice hours.
My mother took her early retirement from General Motors because she saw when she had her two boys, working this General Motors job caused her to work more than being at home so she could provide this great life for us. Once we got in trouble because our mother wasn't at home, homie, when we get out of school, mama at work. We want to play football. Mama can't take us to football practice. Nigga, when we playing football, we want to look in the stands and see mama. That's the motivation to keep going. But nigga, mama at work. Mama got to work to keep all this roof. So guess what? The instructions is, it take a village to raise a child. Not only do it take a village to raise a child, it also says train up a child. So most black parents think just giving you food, shelter, and clothing and raising you is good enough. It says train. So what have we trained our children in? Manners, respect, discipline, work, exercise. So who's training this little motherfucker while he eat noodles? Because she say he like to eat noodles. Who making the noodles? Him or her? Do he get breakfast in the morning? When he get in trouble at school, is there discipline? Is there consistent discipline? I didn't hear her talk about none of that. The apple don't fall too far from the tree. The root and the fruit is one and the same. I'm going to say that again. The roots and the fruit, nigga. So meaning the root of a tree. They go all the way down to the ground. They stretch out that way. Those are the roots. The fruit that hangs from the tree is the same as the root because it's attached to the tree. So nigga, that's her baby. That demon come out of her.
I need a village.
So do you feel that, what's our future looking like? What I'm already old. I got one foot on a banana peel and the other foot in the grave. But for our children, what does that look like? Because I have a 21-year-old daughter and an 18-year-old son. So what does that even look like for them?
My son is 17. And I ask myself that same question every day. What does it look like? I'm scared to know what it look like. You know, because what we teach them is what we were raised, how we were raised. So this new world what is that going to show them? So it's like, we can't keep them under the wing because they got to learn life. But this isn't life.
I mean, we can't keep them. I always say you can't keep them from the heartbreaks because they're going to happen. And you can't really pick their friends, but you can guide them.
Yes.
And even with career, you could kind of say, well, what are you interested in doing, right? I think we could just talk to them.
Yes.
Right? I think when we were growing up, it was more of like, this is what you gonna do. That's what I'm gonna do. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And even in your head, you was like, I don't want to do that.
Right.
But
right.
you didn't want to, you couldn't really speak up. Shit, we'd all be in group homes if CPS was around.
I know that's right.
But honestly, I think there's a saying, the more you put in is what you get out.
Yes.
So I think it depends how much you put into your children. Now, I'm not saying that every now and then somebody child get locked up, somebody child do something they shouldn't have done.
Right.
But there's a psychologist that says Mother Nature has already picked what your child is going to be. We think we're the ones pushing them. But remember, there are 500 ancestors on your side and 500 ancestors on the father's side.
Yes.
And whatever they was doing, it's going to show up. My daughter know how to sew. I don't know how to sew. She know how to bake. I don't know how to bake. But both my grandmothers do.
Right.
Do you get what I'm saying? So certain
right.
things are just, right?
Right.
And so, I don't know. I'm trying to look at the glasses. Half full. Are you feeling like you're at the half empty mark?
Half empty.
Are you? Yeah.
Half empty.
So,
Because it's not,
what could you do different? Because it's not too late. He's 17.
Up until now, I think everything that I went through or did is an experience. So I'm happy with it. You know, this is his last year of school. You know, he wants to go to college. You know, so honestly, it's just, I try to push to him, whatever you want to do, I'll support you. And that's all I could do. I didn't want him to play football, but he played football. And I'm over here texting him, sending him numbers, talking about, look how much the baseball players get instead of football players. Meanwhile, you get migraines, you get head injuries, you get knee injuries, you get this, that, and the third. You would be retiring before you even get a ring.
Watch this quarterback's leg. Number 4 in the country, undefeated. His leg.
So I'm trying to tell him, but he loved football. So what do? I just have to sit on the sidelines and pray about it. That's what he want to do. So, but I also had to teach him about having a plan B and a plan C as well. You know, so he's into computers, he's into, you know, other things. So I'm trying to guide him into those things. He's always home on a computer. You know, it's a computer thing now. They don't even want to chat. He want to text me and I'm right in the next room type shit. Like, but, and I'm trying to still be that parent, but then be his friend. That way he could come to me so we could talk about it. You know, and every day that's just a fighting thing. Every day. Raising a teenager, and I thought by having a teenager, because it's more responsibilities, it'll get easier. No, it doesn't get easier.
Is it just, it's just you?
It's just me.
You don't have like
a significant other,
you know, grandfather, your dad, you know what I'm saying? You don't have like
no,
the whole family community thing?
No, his my dad passed 6 years ago, which him and my son was just so tight. That was grandpa. He showed up at every game, he showed up at every practice, you know, went to everything. So when grandpa passed, you know, he took that hard. Who else? My mom at the time lives in Georgia. My sister lives in Georgia. So it's just pretty much just me and him. But he has a godfather, which is his father's best friend, but his father's deceased as well. He died on a motorcycle accident. So, you know, it's just pretty much me. And, you know, my male, you know, his godfather. And then, you know, I have, you know, Mo, and, you know, I have different, not a lot of men, you know, just, you know, the ones that he respect, you know. And if I'm in a relationship, then a long-term relationship, then that's different. But I've always been the type of child, you know, growing up, like I would see something, be like, yo, I can't wait to have a baby. Because when I grow up, I ain't never, you know, having niggas around my kids, you know, type of parent. So I don't know. There's no book on how to raise a teenager. So I just gotta leave it to God, pray. I be telling my son to pray with me, and he be like, I did already. Did you pray today? You didn't gotta say smart. I was just asking. You know, I just pray about it.
Does he like you do the conspiracy theory thing? Does your son, do you kind of like talk to him about certain things?
Yes.
Okay. How is that conversation?
The conversation is deep because he agrees with me. Like, he's so intellectual. Like, he'll like, we'll sit and pick each other brains on different things, you know. And, you know, I said, that's one thing you're not going to do. Is you're not going into the army. That's what you're not going to do, because, you know, his grandfather was in the service. And you know, and I told him my thoughts about it and how I felt about it. And I said, I know you be reading about that in the history books, or they probably hid that part, but let me tell you, you know. And then he'll say, no, I ain't going to, you know, enroll. He's like, I will never, you know, do something like that. You know, it's not fighting for the country. What you're doing is fighting for the white man. And it's not him being racist, but it's just like, you know, back in the slavery, when the masters tells the slaves to fight. No. You know, you're fighting for land, you're fighting for property. That's our right. That's what y'all fighting over. You know, so
okay, so you and your son, you guys talk about conspiracy theories and everything. But do you feel that a lot of times people will be like, oh, you guys, you're not being realistic, and all these conspiracy theories. I'm sure there's family and friends that you have that are like, oh boy,
Yes.
there goes, oh boy.
Yes, they do.
Right.
Yes, they do.
And does it bother you, or sometimes do you find yourself like shutting off and just trying to find like-minded beings?
Nope, I still be talking. I'm telling you, as Mo, I still be talking because I'm like, no. Just like I think, I'm telling you, I'm doing some research. Just like I think we should just all get up and go and just, what is it called? Go off grid. Plan our own shit. Because I'm telling you, they trying to kill us. And I'm looking, reading stuff. My son, he'll walk past and be like, what are you looking at? I'm trying to pack a to-go bag, to go where, Mom? You never know.
The water. What do you think about the water?
They doing that on purpose too to kill us. Like, first of all, why are we paying for water? Why? Where is it that we supposed to pay for water? Water's supposed to be free.
Making us pay for water, you son of a... You're making us pay for grapes, apples, things that God gave us for free. Ha! Ha! You will burn in hell when I'm through with you.
Water, the TV. We paying for the TV. That's how old I am. We paying for the TV. And they get paid because they got commercials paying them already. And then now we got two phones. Well, not really, because I took my phone out of my house. So now we got the cell phone.
You got to get walkie-talkies. You got to get walkie-talkies, I'm telling you, because when we have a blackout, them phones ain't going to work. You got to check on your loved ones. You got to communicate with, your friends. You got to, get together, make a plan, shelter. I'm telling you.
So what does that look like for you? It's the apocalypse. What does that look like? What you got? What you trying to do? Without giving out your plan, because I don't want nobody to come look for you. Like, what that look like? What do you have? You got a bug out bag? What you got?
I can't say. I can't say what I got.
You try to hurt people. That's what that's like.
No, because you know what I am. I'm a mama bear. That's what I am. I'm a mama bear. So my best friend always tell me, he goes, you know what? He was like, you a chick trapped in a nigga's body. That's what you is. That's what you is. He was like, we go at it all the time. You just a nigga trapped. I was like, no, you gotta understand. And dudes don't understand. They just think, oh, these women, they also independent. They too independent. They don't want to have, a brother. Hello? Cause y'all niggas is acting like pussies. Like, y'all don't even want to take a chick out on a date. Like, what happened to the courting? What happened to that? Netflix and chill is not courting. Coming to my house after 10 o'clock, 9 o'clock is not courting. Where's your place at? Not your mother's house or your auntie's house or grandma's house in the basement. So it's like, if you really want to date someone seriously, there's serious women to date. But if you want to still be in the street and play games, meanwhile you married or you got a baby on the way or you got a side chick, oh, that's not your baby. Why is she busting out your windows while we at Red Lobster? So it's, not to get on the dating pool, being that it's a cesspool, but, I just had to just put that on, put that one out there.
Okay, I'm going to bring it back to this. You have a son.
Yes.
Like I have a son. And so you see what the dating world looks like. So what are you, because I always tell women, what are you doing different with your son to make sure your son is not like any of the guys that you come in contact with?
Well, I'm definitely talking to him about, safe sex, condoms, and You know, I'm like, I know you're gonna do it, although I don't want you to do it, you know. And he'd be like, Ma, I'm like, no, seriously, you know. And then I told him, I was just flat out and honest. I said, you don't want to be like your father. You want to be better than your dad. You don't want to have 8 billion kids out here because you can't afford them. And then the time will not be equally, you know, distributed. And that's just a returning cycle. Because children remember everything. You think they don't, but they do. You still have to watch what you say. You still have to watch what you do. You know, you're a parent. So it's a constant 24/7 job. Constant. You know, when he was younger, I don't know if this was told you, it was like, oh, he's a mama's boy. Soon as he hit 10, we used to have our little movie dates. And then it went to, Mom, could so-and-so go with us? Ma, could so-and-so and so-and-so and so-and-so go with us? Next you know, I was damn Uber driver. I'm sitting in the back and all of them is in front of me. And I'm paying for the food. I said, you know what? My heart broke right then. I was like, Lord have mercy. I said, And then with the dating, you know, I was trying to tell him to stay focused on his studies and, you know, stay focused on, you know, working on your career. You know, the girls will be there. Matter of fact, they'll be there in college. Matter of fact, it's a newer variety of chicks. College. What do you do? But at least he sat down and talked to me. This happened recently. He said, Ma, this girl, you know, she likes me. You know, I like her too. But she feels like she don't think I like her the way that she likes me. So the mother of me, I just want to know. I'm not prejudiced, but I just want to know. Is she black? Is she white? Is she what? So what is she? Well, it'll come back to me. So he was like, I said, well, just be friends, you know, for now. And I said, don't rush into anything. Long story short, they became girlfriend and boyfriend. He brought her over the house. I met with her, very nice girl. And then the next day he was going over to her house to meet her parents. Oh, she's Israeli. So he bought her flowers. He bought her first, her flower, her favorite flower that she liked, pink tulip. And he bought her a teddy bear and sprayed his cologne on it. So, you know, he went over there, you know, he shook his father's hand, you know, eye to eye, man to man, you know, very firm, you know, and he had a conversation with the mother, and he even bought them dinner. You know, he got his little, Uber Eats, and ordered like some pizza for them and everything. So he was just like on top of the world. So I was happy for him because I went to pick him up. I dropped him off and I picked him up. Here I go being an Uber. So next thing you know, 2 days later, you know, my son is upset. And, you know, and I'm like, what's going on? You know, he's like, can you come pick me? Pick me up. He was at her house again. So I'm like, what's the matter? You know, I'm ready to go ham. He was like, Ma, I'll tell you when you get here. I said, okay. So I go to pick him up, and he tells me that, you know, him and the girlfriend was walking, you know, they were walking to Target, and the girl's mother called. And when she called, she answered it on speakerphone. So the mother said, hey, you know, how you doing? Da-da-da, fine. Me and so, you know, we're walking to Target, blah, blah, blah. Honey, who got you those flowers? Where those flowers come from? She's like, oh, so-and-so got them for me. You know, he came over, so-and-so. So she was like, okay, honey. She was like, does he like you? She's like, Mom, we're boyfriend and girlfriend. Da-da-da-da-da. So this is what the mother said on the speakerphone. Honey, you know we don't do that. You know we don't do that kind. She said, we stick with our own. She said, let him down easily. Or you could just tell him we sent you back to Israel to finish school. She said, he's very handsome. He's very, respectful. He's very, she's like, but honey, we don't do. So let him down easy. She's like, Mom, what are you talking about? So, they're going back and forth, speaking in their language. So at this point, my son was just like over it. He was just like, he was so upset. So he was like, I gotta go home. I gotta go. And that's when he called me and asked me to pick him up. He was like, Ma, he was like, I shook this man's hand. He's like, we had a conversation. He said, they're doing some type of, some type of yard work, and I was helping her dad. He was like, her mom had a full conversation with me. I bought them dinner, Mom. I said, you did nothing wrong. I said, you did absolutely nothing wrong. I said, that's how her parents was raised. And some religions and some people, prefer to have their own. I said, those are choices. But the daughter still wants to be with him. But my son is like, I'm not going back over there. So, this is another life lesson that he's learning, and I'm just trying to be there and support him. And, look, you can't help who you like. You like who you like. That's not the issue. That's not the problem. But, I'm like, she was on the speakerphone. Maybe everything happened for a reason, because I know he was, I was hearing ear hustling, hearing him in the room. Oh, I love you. Well, I love you too. So it sounded like that, it was getting serious. But, my son was hurt, and, after that, they still was just like, oh, we're still going to date, da-da-da. You're just not going to come over my house. And I was like, well, you're not just going to be hanging out at my house. So maybe a few days after that, they just decided to break up. That way she's not getting heat, from, her family and stuff like that. And I could tell he was hurt by it. I could tell he was hurt. And only thing we could do as parents is just be there. I mean, what would a male say? What would a father say?
Look,
Man,
it's motherhood, so you
right.
I would have to ask them.
Right.
But you know what? I would have said, baby, the best revenge, the best revenge is success. Yeah. Let that, you know what I'm saying? Put that in your pipe and smoke that shit. The best revenge is success.
Facts.
Because they love success.
Of course.
They might come around. Remember us? You bought us pizza.
Yes.
And da-da-da. No, yeah, but by then, get them out of here, Chauncey.
Right. Get them away. Yeah. Yeah. And, I didn't even think about that because, behind closed doors,
well, no, that's your baby.
Right. I want to go burn the house down. Like, that hurt my baby.
You want to comfort them. But at the end of the day, you always got to, sometimes you have to take those things that hurt and turn them into something positive.
Yes.
Because every time something bad happens,
yes,
it doesn't mean that you've done anything bad. And I've been recently, for the last week, I've been hearing, it's not always punishment, it's preparing you.
Like the things that God has destined for you is so great. Like where God is trying to take you is so great. It's so beautiful that the opposition and the adversity and the challenges and the uncertainty has to be even greater.
Yep.
Right? So you can encounter certain things to be able to sustain once you get to the top of the mountain, once you accomplish, once you get some of the things you asked for. You got to go through it, right? You got to get double crossed by somebody that you thought loved you. So you got to go through the opposition and the challenges. That's the rites of passage, right? You got to fail. That's the rites of passage. right? Somebody got to come and say something crazy to you. That's the rites of passage. Somebody got to steal from you. That's the rites of passage. Somebody got to do something to you that you didn't expect. That's the rites of passage, right? Somebody got to cross you out. That's the rites of passage. So when you accomplish and you get to the point to where, man, like it feels great. I did it, right? Now you know how to handle everything that comes with it. Because if you get it and you didn't work for it, if you get it and nobody crossed you and now they crossing you when you at the top, you're not even gonna want it. You're gonna try to give it back. You're gonna feel like you don't deserve. You're gonna have imposter syndrome, right? Why me? No, bro, you deserve it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, sis, you deserve it. You worked for it. You went through pain to get there, right? And so understand when you in the midst of pain, it's not punishment, it's preparation.
It's just preparation. Like God, source, universe is preparing you for something. So sometimes don't look at things as, oh my God, I'm being punished. They was mean to me. They wouldn't let me in. They wouldn't. Oh, I couldn't eat there. Baby, go make something yourself and go sell it. You don't have to eat there.
Wow.
Because it, like once we have, and so I think that's what the Tulsa mindset was, right? They went in. People had their own fabric store. People had their own food store. They had everything. They had everything. They were doing their own stuff.
Right.
And Tulsa, I forgot what it's called, Lessons in Haiti.
Durham and Haiti also survived the second wave of violent attacks on black towns across America by angry whites that took place from 1918 through 1921 following the return of black soldiers from World War I who demanded jobs and racial equality. This period saw nearly 40 black communities nationwide destroyed at the hands of angry whites, including the Greenwood section of Tulsa, Oklahoma, known as the original Black Wall Street.
Well, everything that you would need was there in the Greenwood neighborhood. So you didn't have to go downtown, and I think that was part of why the city of Tulsa let this happen, because they were not making the money they had anticipated making, both from Indians and black people and Mexicans, because both the Indians and the Mexicans and the blacks bought their clothes from Papa. They didn't have to go downtown. People in those days were looking forward to trading with each other, and they didn't, even if it cost a few more pennies from the African American, they still would pay the extra pennies because they felt like they were investing in themselves. When they burned up Tulsa, they took pains to dynamite the schools, so there was nothing but rubble. The Dunbar School where I went, those mobs didn't just burn up everything, they pillaged because the store was well stocked and other people's businesses were well stocked. And they pillaged the stores and took all the good things out before they, put the dynamite in the fire and to destroy the building. Everything was kept out of the papers, as you know. It was hush, hush, hush. And they said it would be bad for Tulsa if the news got out. So the Hearst papers just said, nobody write anything about this. We act like it never happened. So my dad and Archie Gregg went on a speaking tour. And they went to Washington, D.C. and Lynchburg and Petersburg and places like that that had big congregations of blacks. And they spoke and told what happened in Tulsa. And those churches didn't have money to send, but they had shoes and barrels of clothes, old clothes, and they could solicit, some more. And they were really the ones who helped. There was so much that was wrong in Tulsa. They even, as you know, passed a law that even if you own property and you could get a few sticks to put together to build another house, you weren't allowed. You could not rebuild on property that had been destroyed. the minute this thing happened, they called in NAACP in New York, and Walter White hastened down there. And the beauty of that was those enemy people did not know what Walter White was, and he was able to gather a whole lot of information about how they had stockpiled ammunition and just waited for an incident to happen so they could destroy the other part of town. It wasn't just spontaneous that they suddenly showed up with all this weaponry and mass destruction stuff. They had been saving that stuff from beforehand.
It's a documentary. It's from 2013. And you know where there's a highway, you know, the I-95, the 4, the expressway, the Bronx Expressway. That's where all the black businesses used to be. There's over 200 and something Tulsas in America.
Wow.
And the federal government decided to put highways and railroads through it. So when they said you've been railroaded, understand, you've been railroaded. And so once you kind of disconnect who we are, then... But I do want to do this thing that we call rapid fire. Thank you about motherhood. And so I just want you to answer quickly or come up with your own answer. Ready?
Ready.
Okay. Sunrise or moonlight?
Sunrise.
Shower or bath?
Bath.
Going out or eating in?
Eating in.
If you had to come back to this planet, would you be a tree, a mountain, or an animal?
Mountain.
Why a mountain?
Indestructible.
If you could go back to yourself as a little girl, what would you tell yourself?
To love yourself.
So this, we're trying to do this this is for ever in the ethers, but what is one of your best accomplishments that you want the world to know about you?
Wow. The best accomplishment? Whew. I guess I can say my best accomplishment was having my first magazine cover on I don't know if it was Hype Hair magazine or Black Hair Care magazine on the cover. That was like a proud moment for me. I was excited about that. And it was like that magazine is like all over the world, so it's like so I was really, that part of me was just, you know, I did it, like that meant something, I'm somebody type of thing. It felt good.
Okay, tell them your name and what you do.
Okay, well, AKA Aurora, that's my name, but also I'm a freelance makeup artist. You could go on Tamessence _ on IG, as well as TikTok, as well as Facebook. So that's pretty much about it.
Okay. I wanna ask you, what is the message that you would like to tell the time travelers?
Ooh, come get me. Can you please come get me and take me back so I could do this all over again and I could do the right things? Please take me back so my boobs could go back up and they could stop hanging on my stomach. The fupa could go back down. The fuck? Sorry.
That was real.
She kidding.
What do you want? What do you want your great grandkids to know? Like, you won't, one day, you know, we won't be here, but this will be here. This moment right here.
Right.
What do you want them to know about you? What message would you give them?
Your grandma was a nurturer, a giver. She was a village.
And what would you say to them when times get hard?
To pray. Give it to God. That's it. That's all you can do.
And what do you want? What do you see for your future? What do you see for your life? What do you want? You got to speak it into existence. What do you see? What do you want?
Definitely different environment. Different environment, different state, different country. I see myself being a speaker, maybe even internationally. Who knows? I don't know. I see myself doing that. Motivational speaker, maybe a wellness advocator. Self-esteem organizer. Like I can relate to those things. So those type of things I would want to do, that I would want to work on, whether it's profit or nonprofit. Opening up somewhere, salon, upscale salon somewhere, traveling at speaking engagements.
What would you talk about? Would you stick on a conspiracy theory? Because I mean, we talked about motherhood. We talked about conspiracy theories.
It would definitely be subjects that I've had experience with. So it could probably be like domestic violence. It could be conversations on low self-esteem, conversations on sexual assault, things of that nature. But because these things are hidden from people, because it's embarrassing, to speak. But once you find out that other people are dealing with it or have dealt with it, it's not as shameful, and I feel like the more that other people are dealing with the same things, that it'll help you recover a little bit more.
So how did you overcome? How did you, or did you?
No, I didn't.
Are you still
Girl,
healing?
no, I'm still seeing a psychotherapist. I need that.
But you've come a long way.
Oh, yes. I'm here for a reason. I'm still trying to find it, though. I don't know what reason yet. I'm still trying to find my purpose. But I'm here for a reason. I tried to commit suicide twice. I'm here for a reason.
What would you tell that young boy or that young girl that felt the hopelessness and despair you felt at one time? What do you think you could say to them to make them say, okay, no, I don't need to go anywhere. I'm meant to be here.
Hug them. Give them a hug tight. And while hugging them, tell them that you're meant to be here. You're loved. We need you here. I wish someone told me that.
That's beautiful. Did you have both your parents? How did you grow up?
I don't know who my biological dad is, but my sister's father, I recognize him as my dad. So that was like, my son's like grandpa. That was like, until they got a divorce. So it was just me and my sister.
What do you think? Where do you think, or should I say, what was the moment that broke you? Because there's a moment in the past that breaks us.
What do you mean by break? Like
where we feel so undeserving of just living. There's a moment that, do you understand? I understand what you're saying.
Yes. That was that was when my stepfather had beat me with like this belt because I had teacher had called, and instead of my mother beating me or punishing me, she allowed him to do it. And it was, I remember it was like this big old like Texas belt, like the imprint of like, I don't know if it was like Indians or with a big ass belt buckle, because he used to wear like a cowboy hat and cowboy boots and shit. And he came in the room and he beat me with the fucking belt, like to the point where the imprint that was on the belt was enlarged in my skin, and you see how light I am. And so at that breaking point is when, after he did that, I'm screaming, I'm crying and everything. And, as soon as he finished, I got up and I ran out the house. That was my breaking point at that point.
How old are you?
I was, I'm gonna say 12 or 13. I ran out the house. And I ran all the way to my grandmother's house. My grandmother lived way on the other side of town. But I ran all the way over there by myself. All the way over there.
And did you find the moment where you were able to forgive him and yourself?
As I became an adult, I forgave him, but back then, no, I didn't. I just, swallowed it because I still lived in the home. Like, I just kind of dealt with it, because even though I ran to my grandmother's house, the police came and got me, and then they took me right back. So I just had to just deal with it, and over time, I guess I suppressed those feelings. And to the point where, I did a lot of that suppressing.
So do you feel like, I don't know, conspiracy theories could be a coping mechanism for those of us who've been super abused, so now we just kind of just Twilight Zone, Outer Limits, Tales from the Dark Side.
But you know what? Deja vu is real.
Did you have deja vu?
Mo did today. But deja vu is real. Dreams is real. They are. Like, I be trying to remember what I be dreaming about, and I be sitting there trying to figure out the next day, like, well, why was I doing this, and what did that dream mean, and da-da-da-this, and da-da, and like an idiot going on Google doing some research, like, what does it mean when, that type of thing. Because I feel like we live in a spiritual world, so it's like, I feel like the answers is right there. You know what I mean? Sometimes I be feeling like that, but then sometimes I feel like God just wants you to be like, just be still.
I always tell people, the natural world hides the spiritual world because it's right in front of us, right?
Yes.
The cats and the dogs can see, and the birds can see, but we can't see.
Right.
Right? And so when I say birds are flying into windows because the 5 and the 6G is throwing off their sonar waves.
Right.
There's rising concern over the potential consequences that 5G technology has on both the human health as well as our environment. So Aries conducted a multi-stage study on bees where it showed the correlation between the physical damage that it caused and EMF exposure. And the findings were pretty substantial. In the first stage of the study found that exposure to 5G radiation can also cause oxidative stress and damage the normal functioning bee cells. It also found that 5G radiation can interfere with the ability of bees to communicate and navigate, leading to decline in bee population. In the second stage, we see more oxidative stress along with cellular damage, neurodegeneration, and even cognitive impairment. The study also found that 5G radiation can increase the permeability of the blood-brain barrier, allowing harmful substances to enter the brain and potentially cause damage. An important takeaway from the study is to understand that these impacts don't stop at bees, and they give us a clear indication of the impact on the human health from 5G exposure. So in the digital world that we live in today, protecting yourselves from EMFs is a must. You literally have nothing to lose and everything to gain.
Right? And so you're not crazy.
No.
You just because you can't see it don't mean it ain't there.
Right. And that's what I said. I say, think about it. And then after they think about it, be like, you know what? You may have a point. Or you just think. That's it.
But I want to thank you. Any last words for the people?
No. Well, the only last words is I just want to thank you for inviting me. Thank you for having me, and thank you for the lovely brunch and dinner. And if you mind, can I take some chicken home with me? It's like, no, I'm kidding. Thank you for having me, and I appreciate you so much. This has been a wonderful experience.
Oh, awesome. Okay, let me get this. Grab that.
Yes. Ooh, my mouth is dry. Let
That
me
was
get some
Aurora.
soda.
Aurora, right?
Aurora.
Aurora.
I'm gonna have me a fake name, yeah, just in case they try to come for me.
The radio, that was the hour. That was our wonderful guest. I'm gonna put in the description how to contact her because her makeup is fabulous with her hair. I'm just saying. Up close. I'm just can't really go do justice. I'm just telling y'all. But anyway, sign up for OTW2.com, uncensored free speech platform. I love you guys. Peace. I'm your host, Cindy Ashby.
Flawed individual.
Thanks for keeping the lights on, Deang.
Cindy Ashby Productions.
On the wake up.
Just get your body to move. Won't stop till you shake the room, yeah. Just get your body to move. Why do I need to? Why do I need to? Then on the wake up, hey. Won't stop till they hear what we say, yeah. Then on the wake up, hey. Why do I need to? Why do I need to? Just get your body to move. Won't stop till we shake the room, yeah.
Now search in the search bar for OTW2, which is the page we're going to subscribe to. Click subscribe, click add as friend, as well as click where the videos are. Click on a video to view, like that video, as well as comment. And your exercise is done. Thank you for your support.
You, the people, have the power to create happiness. Let us use that power. Let us all unite. Let us fight for a new world. You, the people, have the power to make this life free and beautiful, to make this life a wonderful adventure. By the promise of these things, brutes have risen to power, but they lie. They do not fulfill that promise. They never will. Dictators free themselves, but they enslave the people. Now let us fight to fulfill that promise. Let us all unite.
OTWTube.com, uncensored free speech platform.